Hello, everyone online. Welcome to our next ChatSRHR session, all about movement building to end FGM. And we're so lucky here to have four incredible activists working across Africa to end FGM. So without further ado, I will hand over the microphone so they can all introduce themselves, and then we will get right into the session.
Hi, my name is Ubad Ahmed Hashi. I am the program manager of Network Against FGM in Somaliland.
We can hear you.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Sari Bobaji. I'm the program officer working for the Girls Agenda, a women-led organization in the Gambia.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ifrah Ahmed from Ifrah Foundation.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Sayan Karim Kamara. I'm from Keep the Drums and Lose the Knife, Sierra Leone.
Launch right in. Yeah?
Okay.
About your work, what you do, and sort of, how you became an activist.
Yeah. Well, it's so lovely to be in this space. And since the theme about Women Deliver this year is about space and solidarity, so we really want to appreciate Amplify Change for amplifying our voices across the world, because this is beyond Africa and the work we do in our communities. Yeah. As most of you know, I am an activist because I survived FGM. I become active in the campaign because I wanted to help other people understand the effects of FGM and what it means for a woman or a girl who happen to go through this practice. Because of my experience, I'm sitting where I am today. So I formed the organization called Keep the Drums, Lose the Knife. We're a group of women who have been through some kind of abuse, including FGM. That's what's very, very similar across all the women I work with. So we're using our experience to educate communities. So we start in the UK, in Peckham, where I am based. And then because we also from Sierra Leone, and the practice in Sierra Leone, there is no law to end the practice. And it's very, very much entrenched in the communities that we form. So we decided to come together as women to educate and share, through sharing. We educate community through sharing painful experiences and the different forms of abuse that we've gone through, to raise awareness on them, across our communities. So what's different about the way we work in the UK? We are from different backgrounds. So we work with women from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Somalia, Gambia, and Sierra Leone women as well. This is for we to be able to break even into different communities. As we know, this practice is very, very tight. So communities, it's difficult for you to go into another community to raise awareness. So you need an insider. So that's where the idea is coming from. So we also decided to also reach out with these changes back home to our countries. So we moved with the movements to Sierra Leone in 2016, where we start to work with 6 communities in the north. So again, going to Women Deliver at 2016 helped me to kind of like break through into other communities beyond the communities we've been working with to end this practice. So we started with 6 communities, but today in Sierra Leone, in Makeni, we work with 8 communities. In Freetown, we work with 8 communities. And in Cambia, we work with 8 communities. So we have grown because of this fund that we received from Amplify Change. It really, really amplified our voices. So again, through this movement in Sierra Leone, I always say it's very different to other parts of Africa if you talk about FGM. Because for we, it's not only about the cutting. The woman going through the practice, the cutting is a beginning of a very long journey for the woman or the girl. So again, we decided that for we to get a breakthrough in ending this practice, we need to work with the cutters. And we also see the cutters as survivors themselves and as victims of the practice, because they were once girls like me. They were caught as a girl, just like me. By the way, I was caught when I was 11 years old. So again, it's something that was passed on to them through tradition. So we have to work with them to be able to get our message across. So we have a project called Bondo Nugget Certificates. So Bondo is what you guys know as FGM in Sierra Leone. That's what Bondo means. So we have a project called Bondo Nugget Certificate. And through the support of Amplify Change, we were able to train 75 cutters across 8 communities in in Cambia. And out of the 75 cutters, 34 of these cutters were able to abandon the practice. Now, how women can become cutters, how women can become cutters in Sierra Leone. Someone like me can never be cutter in Sierra Leone. I have to come from a cutting family. So again, it's something that is forced onto women. It's passed on by tradition. So a cutter, their mother or their grandmother have to be a cutter before they become cutter. So, which means if you are a cutter, the tendency of your daughter or your grandchildren to become a cutter is very high. So this is why we come up with the idea to work with them, educate them of what FGM means for them, help them understand what they've been through as a result of their FGM and the harm that they're causing to women and girls. We use ourselves as example of what FGM and how FGM is affecting our everyday life, our social life, every part of our life. Because once you've been through FGM, it's like you're serving a life sentence. There's never a time where you think, I'm free from FGM. No, you could get better. You could work on it. Like, if I can just fast forward, I was sexually active since I was 18. I never have an orgasm until I was 22. So you know what that means. It's been pain, even during sex, every time. It's very painful. But I didn't get the understanding until when I realized that this is how my FGM has affected me. Then I seek help and solution. In 2014, I went to Leila Hussein's service in London because I had a breakdown. And I had to kind of like find myself, because I noticed that I was giving, and I was not receiving anything back. So I kind of like shut down. So I went to get support and help, find solidarity and find myself, and then come back to the space where we support women and girls. So that's just that. So for the cutters in Sierra Leone, we were able to support 34 women who later abandoned their baskets. Remember, I told you about this basket being passed on from generation to generation. They burned this basket in an open field in front of their community, in the presence of the local chiefs. So that was very, very effective. And that's the first time something like that ever happened in the history of Sierra Leone. We did that through the support of Amplify Change. And now we have 12 of those sowers who actually abandoned their baskets are very, very actively involved in the movement to end FGM with Keep the Drums, Lose the Knife. Now, because of time, I'm going to stop there because I know how to talk. Yeah, so I'm going to pass it on. Thank you very much for listening.
Maybe we give it to NAFIS.
Network Against FGM. It's called NAFIS.
You have to speak up because it's noisy here.
Okay, I'm from Network Against FGM in Somaliland. NAFIS Network. NAFIS is established in 2006 in Somaliland. It contains 20 member organizations working for ending FGM in Somaliland. NAFIS has different thematic area. So since Somaliland is one of the highest FGM in the world, and that 99% of the girls and women of Somaliland have experienced a type of FGM. So what we do is the research and documentation to document the researches and the knowledge of FGM, and to distribute to the civil society As well, we work child protection since FGM and it's a child girl which has no voice. So we advocate for the child rights. And similarly, we are component of response. We provide service for the survivors of FGM, those who are already circumcised, like we support cyst, fistula, and at the time of circumcision, if there is a communication is so as well, NAFIS do that. The other thing we do is a policy framework. Somaliland has a no law ban FGM and there's no policy. With the support of the Amplifying Change, we developed it into the draft bill. Since new parliament was elected, the draft bill is in place, and we hoping to work on the draft bill, then to share with the parliament. So there's no law and there's no policy. And the policy, for first time, the policies go to the presidential house. Before it was the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. With the support of the Amplifying Change, the policy become final and at the presidential house. And we are hopefully wishing that the current president to approve the policy, to have a policy start protecting Somaliland and girls for FGM. The other thing we conduct is coordination and networking among the civil society and the government. Since it's the only network in Somaliland that works for ending FGM, we conduct national coordination meetings with all the FGM actors come together, discuss the outstanding issues, information sharing experience, share, share their challenges, and come up with solutions. These coordination meetings conduct as a monthly basis and as a regional basis and as a country-wide at the national basis. The other thing we conduct is dialogue is on FGM. You know, before FGM was taboo, no one will discuss. So now we engage into the different actors of FGM, like religious leaders, traditional leaders, women themselves, youth, and another activists, government officials. Then it is now something that can discuss publicly, and the different parts of the community can come together, can discuss for FGM. So far, if I talk the current situation of FGM in my country, there's no government efforts for ending FGM. You know, that's one of the biggest challenge we have in our country because of the at the decision makers. There's no women. We have 82 members, only one female member we have. There's almost around 50 ministries, and there is one minister and two vice ministries. So the women issue are not taken into the into the discussion and to the agenda of the government. There's no budget for FGM, so that's why the only source of FGM in my country is on the of our partners and the international communities supporting for the ending FGM. The other thing that we have in Somaliland is a religious issue because the religious issues have not a consensus among FGM. Some of them they are on Sunnah circumcision, while others they are zero tolerance position. So, and the one who is zero tolerance position is not willing to talk of FGM, to avoiding to be taboo for him, or to other sheikhs to say you are talking FGM. So that's a challenge we have as well. Similarly, we have currently we established community and grassroots movements. This grassroots movement is to build women in the grassroots. So we train 33 ambassadors for almost 10 villages. So these ambassadors and if training them, we develop them a guideline of FGM. Then they are the one who are doing community awareness. We do this because of to community people to feel ownership for FGM awareness and to avoid if there is a funding gap to sustain the work. So when the civil society are working FGM and there is a gap, and the project is finished. There's no community awareness. So I found like similarly in Somaliland, Amplifying Church was supporting us for the policy and law, and the project was in 1 year before. That's why all the interventions of policy and law currently are not working in my country. So that is the challenge we have in Somaliland, funding gap we have, and there is no local fundraising for FGM issue. There is no government support of FGM issue. And the last one that I wanted to share is there is a medicalization of FGM. We target traditional circumcisers. We train them. Sometimes some of them was provide and skill and livelihood income. But now the medical persons are the one who doing for the FGM. And there's no code of conduct for the health professionals. There's no policy that banning to conduct FGM. So that's why NAFIS is working for Indian FGM and supporting girls in Somaliland to have a free life from violence, harm, and discrimination.
Good. Thank you very much. Uh, Thank you very much. The Girls Agenda is a survival-led organization, and it is championed by survivors of one or different forms of gender-based violence, ranging from child marriage, teenage pregnancy, female genital mutilation, sexual and gender-based violence. So these are the young women who came together, including myself. We decided to come together to be the voice of those voiceless women out there who have gone through all those forms of violence, but because they cannot express themselves. So that was why we decided to come to form this organization. It was a community-based organization, and then we work through our partners because we believe in partnership. It is through partnership that we are able to champion whatever we want to work for or whatever we are advocating for. We cannot work alone. And then being a grassroots organization, a small organization, we need partnership to be able to amplify our voices, to be able to learn from them, to be able to grow as a small organization. So this partnership has really yielded great dividends for us because we learned from them and they also supported us to establish ourselves as a fully functioning community-based organization in 2014 in the Gambia. So our key intervention areas include five, that is harmful traditional practices, including female genital mutilation, child early and forced marriages. We also work on sexual and reproductive health rights for adolescent boys and girls, comprehensive sexuality education, life and leadership skills development for especially in and out of school girls and teenage mothers, because we are survivors, so we know how it feels to be a teenage mother in the Gambia. We also conduct a mentorship for young girls, that is encouraging them to take up leadership roles, to take up other responsibilities in their communities, because this is how you grow up to be a responsible woman in the Gambia. So through support from Amplify Change, we have conducted several activities in the Gambia in our bid to contribute to the NFGM movement in the Gambia. We've worked with 100 religious and traditional leaders in our rural communities, because these are people who contribute a lot to to the continuation of female genital mutilation in the Gambia, because they have a lot to say. People follow them through their preachers. So having known that these are people who contribute a lot to the continuation of female genital mutilation, we thought it was very important for us to target them, teach them, educate them, have frank conversations with them about the impact of female genital mutilation on girls. And as we speak, but we already have 30 of them who are now serving as agents of change and grassroots advocates in their various communities by speaking to people during their Friday sermons, by speaking to people in social gatherings about the need to abandon female genital mutilation. These are a critical sector in our communities, because some of them are really convinced that female genital mutilation is bad, it is harmful, but because of the social backlash, because of how they are portrayed in society, they are afraid. They are not comfortable about talking on female genital mutilation issues because they don't want to be disrespected in society. But they fully know that it is bad, because we discuss with them. During our conversations, they confess to us that yes, we know that it is a bad practice, but we cannot openly talk about it because of the respect community members have for us. So we also have engagement with boys and young men, because these men are going to grow up to be fathers in the future. If they learn, if they know that female genital mutilation is harmful, they will protect their daughters. So we think it is very important for for us also to engage them, because they have a key role to play. Through Amplify Change also, we have hosted series of girls empowerment camps. These are activities that we conduct with adolescent girls from 13 to 19 years. These girls have a key role to play, and they are from vulnerable communities. They are from highly practicing tribes, because these girls, when we were doing our selection, we selected them based on their vulnerabilities. Secondly, based on the communities they come from. Okay, so we thought that, like, if they are given the right education at the right time, because they are growing, if they get the right information about some of uh, uh, um, um, female genital mutilation being a gross violation of their human rights, learning about sexual and reproductive health rights, they can play a key role as being young advocates in their various communities. So that was the rationale behind our girls empowerment camp. Through Amplify Change, also we have worked with traditional communicators. These are people who send information through music or through songs. So we have recorded a lot of songs. We train them first, and then we ask them to produce songs in their different languages, local languages, because they know the people, they know what the people want. They also know how to communicate with these people. So music can also be a very effective way of communication, sending a message. So we work with them to also help amplify our voices in sending across messages about the effects of female genital mutilation. We have also worked with grassroots communities. We have gone to the farthest communities to ensure that the voice of that voiceless woman in the rural communities is heard. We leave no one behind. So recently, we have become more innovative by producing a cartoon, our first ever cartoon in the Gambia on female genital mutilation called A Long Day. You may check it out on YouTube. Just type A Long Day. You will learn about female genital mutilation, because targeting children and their families. Children have a very crucial role to play. If children are taught, if they had frank conversations about female genital mutilation at an early stage, they can be those change agents in the future, because this cartoon is meant to teach them, is meant for them to also learn from their parents by watching this cartoon to ensure that they've gotten the information about the need to act, the need to also demand for their bodily autonomy, the need to also demand from for protection from their parents from harmful practices such as female genital mutilation. So this cartoon has really impacted the lives of many young people in the Gambia, and then it also won the SGPB Theme of Impact in the Gambia at an event organized by the C Awards Gambia to recognize the work Gambian women are doing to ensuring that female genital mutilation is abandoned. So because of time, um, yes, because of time, maybe I may end here, but to be honest, um, support from Amplify Change has really helped us reach out to the hardest to reach, the most important people, the vulnerable people, and also influential people, the custodians of culture and religious leaders, because these people play a very important role in ending female genital mutilation. As we speak, we have a lot of them now who are serving as grassroots advocates, and we also have traditional communicators who are still continuing in their communities, spreading the message about the need to end female genital mutilation, serving as like role models in their various communities. So thank you for the sake of that.
Well, thank you so much for previous speakers. Actually, I'm Ifrah Ahmed from. Hi everyone, I'm Ifrah Ahmed from Somalia, from Ifrah Foundation. Ifrah Foundation is a dual national organization which is based Ireland and Somalia. And Somalia is East Africa where FGM is practiced 98%. And since COVID, it said FGM now is almost 100%. And the reason being is that is a medicalization, because we have been active and campaigning on FGM, but now people say that, oh, okay, so then we have to medicalize. IFRA Foundation, we do media awareness, we do community empowerment, and and youth and also empowerment. So, and for our organization, work in Somalia, we work with young people, we do work in IDB camps, because those people in IDB camps are more vulnerable of getting down an FGM. And I remember back in 2017, the support we get Amplify Change. We started a small village in Dolo outside Mogadishu. I mean, like, it's one of the regions called Jubaland, where we started our campaign. And I remember going to the IDB camps where almost young girls will be cutting. And that region is very vulnerable on FGM because they believe the practice highly. Even yesterday, I get a phone call from the Office of Attorney General. They were cut 3 girls, and one of them was a critical bleeding, and she was brought it to the hospital. And that's what the community know, and the Attorney General get involved because last year in December there was 28 young girls were cut in one day. We didn't know because only we knew that the girls were bleeding. And this is part of our awareness campaign and the movement of FGM in Somalia. That the mothers to get to know that if they let the girls stay at home and bleed, she might die. Because we have a very tough stories about, 2 stories that it became a really national and international impact, which is Dhaka story that, and she died in Galmudug, Somali region. She was bleeding and she was cut. I was in Mogadishu doing media training with Global Media Campaign, and then I have to flew the region to meet with the parents of the girl. And one thing really break my heart was when the father was asked, "Your daughter have lost a lot of blood, donate the blood," and he could not really donate the blood. And that really break my heart. And then I spoke with the mothers and everyone, and the people were still saying that I did it, I'm going to do it again. But today Somalia is completely different. Today we have actually last year 12 months on zero death on FGM. The practice is there, is almost 100%, but at least we have zero death on FGM in Somalia, and because of the movement of FGM and awareness of the community. And of course, we get support by a global media campaign and UNFPA Somalia. In that, we set up a Dear Daughter campaign, which is, I felt that every mother should actually think about her own daughter. Because, I've been through female genital mutilation. It doesn't mean that I have to cut my daughter. So every mother have to understand that whatever happens shouldn't allow to her daughter to happen. So in that, in 2018, basically, I had an idea of making mother's pledge, but it was just the idea. And then in 2019, I met with Greg in Nairobi for the UNFPA meeting. And I meet with the Somali representative on UNFPA Somalia. And then I just threw the idea and I said, look, in Somalia is a completely different story of the other countries. And because mother says, oh, I was cut and I have to cut my own daughter, she have to experience what I have experienced. So I said, why should my dear daughter, go through what I have been through? And then I had in head that we should set up a dear daughter. So every mother makes pledge to say, dear daughter, whatever happened to me, it should happen to you. So, for education and everything and protection. And that dear daughter that I had in mind since 2016, it came to reality. And even that reality, it came my own personal reality because I have a daughter who is actually 3.5 years. So it really make me that this is something we really need in the community. So we threw the idea to UNFPA during the COVID for last 2 years. We have developed. And then when we have developed, thank God UNFPA have agreed that we can actually do this national campaign. So we did the national campaign where we have a deardaughter.org website where we actually, young people goes to universities, they educate the, family members, the neighbors, the schools, everywhere. And those young people go back to their own communities. Now our website, it reached almost over 80,000 pledges for family making pledges. So in that, it's really, for me, it's like, okay, like before I had my child, I've been thinking that if I can make a difference to save one girl's life, at least I have done something good. Then now, looking my own daughter and looking the other girls in IDB camps, and I say that this is the reason I really wanted to end FGM. She's 3.5 years. But what will happen next 7 years, that United Nations resolution, which says that 2030 we will end the FGM. I don't want just celebrate my daughter's 10 years birthday, but I really want to celebrate to end FGM. So how can we end it on FGM in these 7 years and a half? So I'm called friend of Frontline and FGM. Frontline and FGM are over 14 countries in Africa who are member of it. And we come together in Navasha to sit there and discuss that each of the countries, the experience, the pain and the shame that every girls had in on their own communities. So we say that today we live in Nairobi in Navasha, something that all of us, we can have a one voice. And that voice is Frontline to end FGM. We carry that voice and we actually share our own experience on the practice of FGM, how we can end for all of us FGM in each individual countries. So all the frontline, we have a WhatsApp group, we communicate. Like if something happens, we share and we discuss. And we say, okay, I want to know how you deal with the cases in your own country. There was a time when I sit in front of people, I cried, but I couldn't say a word. But I held myself. If I cry, I wouldn't save any girls. But if I'm strong and I speak out for those girls who are the vulnerable, who have the voiceless, I can make a difference. And that is why we are carrying the head of Ifrah Foundation to make a difference in Somalia. And as my sister mentioned, in Somaliland, there is a bill, but it's not into law. It's similar to Somalia. She talked about the religious leaders. We have the same problem in federal government of Somalia. The problem is that when you want to implement something, there is the religious leaders coming up and say, you are shaming your community. You wanted to say this and you wanted to say that. And that is really heartbreaking when you actually meet with the religious leaders who agrees with you, zero tolerance. And it's good that we have a similar things in Somaliland. And then you have other religious leaders who will say to you, okay, we support your zero tolerance. And then the other guys will come and say, no, we're not supporting on zero tolerance. And which means is that when the bills is bring it to the parliament, well, what happens is it get rejected. And what it get rejected is that we get heartbroken because I not been campaigning that bill to be rejected. For example, we have the sexual offense bill in Somalia. The rape is higher in Somalia because of the war and all that. But the issue we have is that last 8 years I'm in Somalia, I have been advocating on the sexual offense bill, female genital mutilation, all other rights that are actually saving our young girls. I became a gender advisor to the former government, Prime Minister of Somalia. I was advising all the bills should be passed, should be actually agreed that this is, harmful and should be actually implemented into law. But what happened? The government have gone. We had a new government, and then we started again implementing with all new member of parliament, with all the government, and then same time we have here the religious leader all are coming and say, oh, you brought it Western world's culture and you wanted to tell us this and that. And then what happened? The bill, sexual offense bill have been rejected. And what's happening now is that women are get raped. There is no justice. There is this kind of a very traditional and tribalism, that if you're from high tribalism families, that, and the vulnerable person or the victim is belong to the low family that are not getting the justice. And this is really hard for us, especially when I stand on the FGM bill. So I'm in Somalia. I'm based in Somalia now. I'm working on the bill. I'm friend with all the government minister to the member of parliament. I actually use my voice to basically educate the government to say, negotiate each of the government on whatever I wanted to say, they to carry on. For example, last year, December, 28 young girls was cut in Kismayo, the outside Kismayo. They were brought, some of them, to hospital. Then I went to Minister of Gender, Federal Government of Somalia. I told her she should go to 6th of February, zero tolerance in Kismayo, to host the International Day of Zero Tolerance. Because is that the cases are happening there, young girls are cut. She did one to Kismayo, she did the FGM Day there. Then again, last night I heard this heartbroken story. One of the girls, she's in critical in hospital, who was cut. Then I have to lobby again with all the members and say, okay, what can we do? It's good the minister is speaking, but the good thing is that this is if the case it goes to court. Now the lady, the person, the cutters, she's in custody. So if the Jubilant government, or if they don't drop the case, it will be first case in Somalia that goes on train. So now, soon I live in Rwanda, I have to travel to Jubilant to make sure that the case is not dropped. Because if it's dropped, it means that all the cutters, they can still practice. But if they see some law, because we don't have the real law in place, we have like a penal code 64 1964 that was implemented, and that's what is using. But if this Jubilant government are really pushing on this into law, what will happen? The whole state government or state communities, they will get back off, because one thing I find out in Somalia is that everybody is scared of the law, because when it comes slow, they will run away and they will say they be off. Because I remember Daka's story, the former deputy prime minister and the former attorney general, they basically make it public statement. They say that they will prosecute the cutter, and they even send it to the village, the police and the community to actually investigate. But they hide the cutter, they hide everyone, and then they disappear. So when I spoke with the community, I say, why did you hide the cutter? They say they don't want it to prosecute it because she's the family member. So this teach me and showed me how we can actually target the head of the community. Awareness, training the young people to go back to the community. Because now it says that youth are the solution. Somalia, 78% are the young people. Those are the people who can make a difference. Especially now we have a technology, and it's the best thing that people can educate one another. I remember back in 2014, I went to Somalia. I'm Irish actually. So when I went to Somalia, I were like, this is normal to go in Somalia because it's okay to travel. So I was like this, sitting with a lot of women wearing all black and sitting long dresses, and I had so much makeup and a lot of earrings and all this bling bling makeups. And when I was talking about FGM, they told me go back to your country. I was like, which country am I belong to? Like I was like, I'm Somalian. Then then I said, you know what I can do? I'm gonna readopt it my own culture. So if they sit on the floor, I sit on the floor. I wear long dresses. If they tell me something about their mans are good, even they're bad, I agree with it. Then I say sometimes, this should not happen. So I readopted my own culture. Then that is one thing make me to say, okay, I know how to get the community's head. And now I'm a role model for the community, which makes me really happy. And a good friend with the religious leaders. But it's still, they come and sit with you and they tell you one thing and they leave your room and they will say other things. So how can we change on that? How we can change is that just more movement, raising awareness, meeting with the community, more media. 2014, when I went to Somalia, journalists say he will interview me because my friends say this girl is great. She talk about a lot of human rights, and he said, okay, I will do an interview. He sit with me. He didn't ask me what we're going to talk about. When he set up and he gave me the mic and everything, he said, what are we going to talk about? I said, we're going to talk about female genital mutilation. And you know what he said? No, I'm not going to talk about it. He put everything down and he said he have to find the female journalists. But today is completely different because of the media work we did with Global Media Campaign and all the media we did. Today, whether he's a boy or whether he's an old man, whether he's a young man, every man is talking about female genital mutilation. And not afraid of men to stand on front of TV and reporting that young girls died on FGM or is at risk on FGM, which is good. And I said, I remember when we first wanted to do a media campaign in Somalia, there was an attack in Mogadishu. And Maggie O'Kane with Global Media Campaign was traveling to Mogadishu. And then I said, Maggie, there was an attack and it's a big, what are we going to do? She said she doesn't care, we will go. And 1 minute again, she said, no, I have been to Bosnia, I have done a lot, I'm not going to Warzone. Finally, she came to Mogadishu, and then we did the media training. And that shows the passion of the people, how they wanted to end FGM. And all of you are sitting here because you all wanted to end FGM. And that is why we all went away for our own family to be here to make sure that our voice are heard. You're here, our voice are heard. We are here, you bring our voice out. So, it's all win-win. So thank you so much for M5J. And I'm so happy that we are now reconnected again, and we're going to be doing a lot of good work in Somalia. And next meeting on M5 on Women Deliver, we're here. We will be having a different story about how we make a difference in Somalia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those amazing presentations. Do we have any questions from the audience that we want to pose to our panel? Anything that we want to elaborate on? that we heard about?
Hi, and thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing back in your countries. My name is Jedi Lamaron. I work in Kajiado, Kenya. And having just listened to all of you, it is evident that we have been working in these communities for such a long time. And I think for me, it's time for the conversation to shift and start thinking of the work that we've done. Where is the evidence? Because we want to see evidence. We have very little evidence when it comes to FGM work. So where is the evidence of the work that you've done over the time? And also, where is the room of for intersectionality in even the work that you do? FGM cannot exist in a vacuum. We need to invite other areas and, just start listening to the voices of the community. Sometimes we want to tell them that FGM is bad, but where is their voice? Why are they doing this FGM? I was born and the FGM campaigns were still going on more than 30 years ago. Why are we still talking about FGM today? Is it that we're not listening to the community? Is it that we want to sit at Women Deliver today in Rwanda, Kigali, and talk about FGM that is happening with communities that don't know about Women Deliver? So how can we go back to the communities and listen to them, if nothing else? So I think for me, the question is on evidence and intersectionality.
Thank you.
I think the evidence, and is our leader who felt this. If I say I'm Irish and I was in Ireland and I actually voted the FGM bill in Ireland and it was passed it. But look, just take an example 2019 when we were at the Women Deliver, who was there in Vancouver. Who remember for the Kenyan former president what he said? He will end FGM in what? 2023. And did it end? Our leaders, they just wear a suit and they go beautiful places and they lie. They just tell liars. They never tell the truth. Because if they tell the truth, they will agree the legislation that is happening in, for example, in my country. And I'm not afraid to say it because we failed our African leaders, and that is why there is no progress. If they really agree what we are saying today, if they actually agree what's happening in Somaliland and they pass the bill, then we feel that our leaders have listened. Why they are member of parliament? They are there to legislate. Why we have a minister of women and human rights? We have her because to represent our voice. Is she represented? No. Are they represented? No. It's not only Somalia, but the whole Africa. Our leaders are failed. Our leaders are lying. Our leaders are going to the UN, assembling, and all they tell is the beautiful things that comes to their mind. And then when we are there in the grassroots, they don't even know us. And that is why I feel that we failed on that. If we talk about Somalia, they started on FGM campaign 1984. And still we have no FGM legislation. Every person, they go meeting, they make a beautiful statement. But after statement, what will happen? Like, you said, where will we see evidence? In Somalia, if you want, you can go on YouTube and you can find the Global Media Campaign or Ifrah Foundation on YouTube and you can see all the progress we made it, or you can even visit their daughter website. But again, for us, like, if I think about in 2018 where we lost a young Deka, which was only one journalist who we trained to find out that young girl have died bleeding. If she wasn't trained by us, nobody will know Deka was that. But she was trained, and she said, "Oh, there's a young girl died," and we just say, "Look, why did we train if you're not actually breaking the news and you're telling the people?" She did it, and that is how the whole world to know that there was a young girl who have died. But today, everybody is talking about frontline. Like, for example, if you visit for Global Media Campaign, you can see all the progress that are made by the frontline in the FGM. Every person is talking about their own countries, how they make difference. I say 12 months last year, it was zero death in Somalia. But again, we have to think about COVID. COVID has brought us back because last 3 years that there was a lockdown, even the international community based in Somalia, they left. And then the community, the Qatar was going around to actually ask more of money because that is the only job she can get it is to cut the girls. And
And because of time, sorry.
it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important what you asked, because it's very, very important for we to be able to show evidence of our work, for people to see these results, you know. And I like the fact that you said that we're talking about communities in women delivery, and these communities don't even know that women deliver exists. That's very nice. Yesterday, I tell you the way I was feeling at the opening when I saw those 4 presidents of Africa on that stage. It put me off, because this is my 3rd Woman Deliver conference, and I know why we come to this space and why these spaces are created. But yesterday, it took me to a place where I feel like it's always the same people we see up there, and it shouldn't be about that. I like to see Ifrah there. I like to see yourself there, even if I don't know you. Let me know about your work, the work you're doing. That way, we're able to see the changes that are happening across. Because sometimes it can be very difficult for grassroots movements like ours to be able to evidence our work. This is why we're so grateful for organizations like Amplify Change, because they are what they say they are. They're really amplifying our voices to the point that I am a small grassroots movement, but I'm able to come here and be able to network with someone like yourself. But yes, you're very right. And I'm going to go back and look at how I can improve in evidence base. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Just like they are saying, I will agree with my colleagues. You go to some of us in our country, the Gambia, we have a law banning female genital mutilation, but that law is not being fully implemented, because there is nowhere, or there's no single day that I have that somebody is being prosecuted because she performed FGM. There is no single successful prosecution in the Gambia. So that shows that that law is there just to decorate, how do we call it, where it is, but it is not fully functional. That is why people are taking the advantage. Also, because there is a law, there is also a shift in the age of cutting, because I don't want people to know that my child is being cut. So people go the extra way to cut their children as old as 2 days old babies, 1 week old baby, 1 month old baby, just to get away with whatever they are doing. So there is a big problem, because we need full implementation of the law to be able to ban female genital mutilation. Also, um, our leaders also play a key role, especially the custodians of culture. If these people are being honest enough to talk about what they know, to talk about, like, because they know, some of them really know that the practice is harmful, but because of the cultural backlash, or because they don't want to lose trust from their people, they are not talking. So there is some kind of double stand or hypocrisy, I may call it. So we need them to come forward to talk to people about the practice. Tell people that it is bad, it is not a religious obligation. That way, we will be able to at least reduce, if not eliminate it totally in our various communities. So I think we all have a role to play. Thank you.
And if I add why FGM still insists, like in my country, Somaliland, it is a strong cultural belief, cultural and religious belief, insists for surgery. You know, the mother is doing because of she wanted her daughter to get married. She wanted to have reputation, to afford shame, because there's a lot of contributors for practicing FGM. And the other issue is, you know, our project is for our, if it's awareness, if it is legal, if the capacity, they have a time frame, and they can't reach all the country. So since there is sometimes funding gaps, sometimes there's project ending. Even, you know, in my country, the rural areas, they practice the most severe type of GM. You know why? There is no awareness reach to them. So there's a challenge aside of funding, because of there's no local funding. There is no, even the businessmen, they don't like to invite women issues, especially FGM, they don't like, then the only source of income that the civil society and grassroots movement depend on the donors. And this is a time frame funding. So the problem is a culture in 64th century, and there's low fund reaching for the whole community, and the community education is low. The mother, she doing FGM because of she thinks something good for her, for her child. She don't know when we are giving them for support, those who have complication of FGM. They told me that they don't know that FGM resulted this. They think something happened every woman. They don't link the problem with the FGM. So that's the issue. So we are come from a country that a male-dominated country that prioritize for main issues, for political issue, not for social issue. There's no education of girls. There's no health. There's a lot of problems there. So all of that are the one who contributed the consistency of FGM. But hopefully we wishing that to protect the girls from FGM and become the voice of the voiceless girls.
I don't have a question. I just want to express my admiration. I think you are so impressive and so brave, and I want to thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. See it in your facial expression. Throughout.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also really glad to hear your voices, and I've been working in Kenya myself for quite a long time. But I would like to ask all of you if you could think of one thing that could really help you towards ending FGM, what would it be?
Wow. One thing. One thing. There's so many things, but I have to bring it down to one thing. Um, I think it's they're flashing. They're just flashing through. They're just flashing through. Wow. One thing. It's not only down to funding. No. Yes, funding is one thing, but to be honest, I'm not going to bring it down to funding. I think we need solidarity. Yeah, because like if you listen to us, we're all from different countries. We are from the same continent, but FGM happened to us for almost the same reason. Almost the same reason, and it's happened through our families. It's the same across Africa, and we are facing the same issues in addressing them. Once we realize how much it's affecting us, our leaders are in the way, our communities are in the way. Those are the similarities. So if we have that solidarity for Sierra Leoneans to know that, oh, it's not only Syrian who want to disgrace my community. It's not only Syrian who want to disgrace us because she thinks that she now live in England. Also, it does happen in Somali. So in Gambia, it's the same issue women are facing. Once we have that oneness, then we're able to break through, we're able to support ourselves because we're giving every time. So I need Ifrah to also give me back so I can fill up my cup as I empty it to my darling. Yeah, so I think if we have that solidarity, it will help us in this movement.
Yeah, exactly my point. We need to speak with one voice. We need to come together because we have a problem to solve, or we have an issue to fight. That is female genital mutilation. So we need to come together to be able to achieve our goals.
Okay, thank you for bringing solidarity. It's good to have a solidarity and support the cause. But also, we wanted to actually make sure that the grassroots are heard their voices and funded. Like, for example, if today I go to organizations, thank God, as she mentioned a lot on Amplify Jane, that she's a small organization, but they've been working with her such a long time because they are believing on her. What she's doing can make a difference. But how many donors are like Amplify Change who can give a support to the grassroots organizations? We need the donors to actually think about the grassroots organization, Frontline and the FGM, to support them. Those are the people who can make a difference. Solidarity is good. But how many like Amplify Change we seeing that are making difference to the grassroots like Sierra Leone? Yeah, that's again your question.
I support all what they say, but I will add something new.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm saying patience.
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 Yes.
You know, in my country, 100% were experiencing type 3 of FGM, the most severe one. But now it is 60%. You know, that's a change, Ifan. 60%. You know, there's a shifting from type 3 to type 1. That's achievement. That's somehow what the achievement I say. When I say still exists FGM, yes, it still exists, but they have a less complicated one. So I say FGM is strong cultural belief, it existed for centuries, but let us be patient, let's work, let us and to be motivated for our work, to sustain. Then at the end we will see the girls of Africa are free from violence and FGM. Thank you.
Are there any final burning comments or questions?
Keep up the work.
Yes, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Yes. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you everyone online. Thank you.
Thank you for